Yo, what's going on everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go discussion video. Alright, so like I said, this is going to be a discussion topic video. I'm not going to be giving you any kind of tips or strategies, but today I just kind of wanted to take one aspect of Pokemon Go and kind of discuss it. So today I'm going to be talking about the word day. This is something that Niantic has thrown around for a lot of their key events, like community days, raid days, different things like that. And I feel like it's completely inaccurate. I think when it comes to these special events, they only last for 3 hours, and it really doesn't feel like a full day. I think the only exception is maybe community days, but that's because of the extended duration at the end of it. But yeah, in general, I think the word day for these events is completely inaccurate, and it's something that Niantic should consider changing. I really think from a gameplay point of view, a lot of these events are what makes Pokemon Go a lot of fun. They are great ways for communities to come together, especially for raid days and community days. But I really feel like the duration is just too short. I really do think that when it comes to these specific kinds of events, they need to be a little bit longer, and they need to be in a way where it's going to be convenient for players. Now, the reason why I say this is because at one point, we actually had longer durations for these events. I'm specifically talking about community days. At one point, they were 6 hours instead of just 3 hours, and I really felt like that was a great quality of life improvement to these events. It was of course during the pandemic, and it was a measure that Niantic needed to take to keep community days relevant, considering that a majority of players would be playing from home or lockdown or where have you. But in my opinion, I felt like increasing the duration to 6 hours was a vast improvement. The reason why I say that is because for a lot of players, if they miss out on those 3 hours that the community day is happening, then they're not going to be able to participate, and I feel like that is a very common occurrence. Ever since Niantic brought back the 3-hour duration, they tried to make up for it by including something like a special raid that happens at the end of the community day that allows you to get more spawns. I thought that was a nice move, but I just didn't feel like it was enough. And I feel like the best solution was to just bring it back to 6 hours. But I feel like Niantic was doubling down and they were refusing to do so, which I can totally understand. They want to bring the game back to pre-pandemic levels, which I feel like is not the right direction for Pokemon Go, and I've been saying that for the longest time. But at the same time, going from Niantic's point of view, I can understand it because they are designing a game that was meant to be played outdoors, and a lot of the stuff that they had going before the pandemic was actually working for Pokemon Go, so it makes total sense that they would try to go back to that. But I do feel like by opening Pandora's box and having all these quality of life improvements, that's really the only perspective that a lot of players have. So when it comes to 3-hour community days, it just feels really bad compared to 6-hour community days. On top of that, there's a lot of people who do work on the weekends and they miss out on those events because it's typically during the hours where they work. So having 6-hour community days at least allowed those specific players to get a couple of hours in. And I felt like that was a nice move, but yeah, that's just not the case anymore, and I feel like community day participation has really suffered because of that. Now on the same note, I want to move on to another event that is pretty much in the same boat, and that is raid days. I think these are some of the best events that Pokemon Go has, and it's one of those things where if you do not participate in a raid day, you're going to suffer for it because it's a great opportunity for you to farm up candies as well as getting mega energies typically, or a lot of different bonuses, and sometimes you can pick up some really high IVs and some really nice shinies as well. But Niantic has them at 3 hours, once again, and I feel like because of that, a lot of players typically are not able to participate. Now, just like with community days, they added a couple of measures that allowed players to get more out of raid days, even though it's only for 3 hours. And that is, of course, with remote raiding. I mean, what they typically do with raid days is that they increase the limit of how many remote raids you can do. And this is not always the case, but it seems like it's pretty common when it comes to raid days. And I really do not think this is enough. Once again, I feel like what they should do is at least for raid days, increase the duration to 5 or 6 hours. I think that way more players will be able to participate, and I think Niantic could make a lot more revenue on top of it. So it's kind of a win-win situation. The difference between raid days and community days is that raid days does involve a lot of exploration, and it does require you to go out and be active. So it still falls in line with the philosophy that Niantic wants for their game. And I really do not understand why they keep it at 3 hours, because when it comes to raid days, this is a golden opportunity not only for Niantic to generate a lot of revenue, but for a lot more players to participate, and they can connect with their communities to have wafu raids and different things like that. That was kind of like the golden age of Pokemon Go, where you could meet up with a bunch of friends and do a whole bunch of raids within a single day, and that was a whole lot of fun, and it did promote community. But Niantic has kind of strayed away from that by having only 3-hour raid days. I really feel like a lot of players feel very limited. And then one more thing that I want to talk about is regarding the limited research days. I really feel like this is one of the most underrated forms of content in Pokemon Go, mainly because they can generate a lot of fun and a lot of engagement, but not a lot of players have good amounts of Pokestops around them, and once again, during the pandemic, they had some great solutions where they would have a chain of timed research tasks that you would get during these events that would kind of act like the field research tasks that you would get from spinning Pokestops, and a lot of players really enjoyed that, and it actually created a lot of buzz around these events. Niantic should bring that back. I really do not understand why they keep it at the way it is, where you need a whole bunch of Pokestops in order to participate, and I don't think that works for a majority of players. So why not include the timed research on top of you going out and finding Pokestops and gyms? Once again, it comes down to quality of life. They're not necessarily going against their core philosophy that they've been hammering into us for the last couple of years, and they're still creating a lot of engagement. I really feel like this is the right solution, but Niantic has refused to do so, or they're being kind of lazy about it. So I really do think there needs to be a shift. I really do think that when it comes to Pokemon Go, there needs to be a lot less stinginess. They need to actually loosen up a little bit and actually give players some more opportunities to actually play their game. And for crying out loud, I really feel like they need to stray away from using the word day to describe these events. Unless they're going to increase the duration, I really feel like using the word day is not accurate. It's only for 3 hours, folks. Like, when it comes to these events, you only can play them for 3 hours. I just do not understand why anyone would think that that is a full day. Sure, you could spend the entire day planning around these events, like you could join up with a community, you could do a whole bunch of stuff before and after these events, but I really have a hard time justifying calling them an entire day. I think Niantic should come up with something different, or they should just bite the bullet and increase the duration for all of these events. I think that's the best solution in my opinion, but realistically, I don't think that's ever going to happen, but one can hope. I think one day we can have 5 or 6 hour raid days once again, and I think it would be a really good thing for Pokemon Go, in my personal opinion. But then again, back in the day when raid days first started happening, they were only 3 hours back then as well, but I really felt like there was just a lot better buzz around raid days. I mean, when it came to them, there was always something special before or after them, and I felt like Niantic has kind of lost a lot of that luster. Like, there's a lot of cool things that they could do with both raid days, community days, and all sorts of events that are very similar, but I really feel like they've been kind of just coasting through a lot of this stuff, and it's really sad to see. There's needs to be something new, in my opinion. I think they need to do something special for Pokemon Go, or they just need to simply go back to the quality of life improvements that we saw during the pandemic. I really do not know what the right solution is here, but in my opinion, that solution is to just simply increase the duration, and I'm going to stand firm in that belief. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this video. I just kind of wanted to I don't know, turn on my camera and start rambling a bit, because these are some of the shower thoughts that I had regarding Pokemon Go. Over the weekend, we did have a raid day, and unfortunately for me, I was busy, so I was not able to participate. And yeah, this seems to be the theme for a lot of the raid days, because for myself, I usually have very busy Sundays, and that's typically when we have the raid days. Actually, I think Groudon was during Saturday, but I really do not know. But regardless, I had a very busy weekend. I missed out on raid days, so a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about in this video might sound like sour grapes, but really, it's something that I've been thinking about for a very long time. Like, I'm getting very frustrated that community days are so short and raid days are so short. I feel like these are events that should be the entire day if they're gonna call it a day. But yeah, I'm done ranting here. Yeah, let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. What do you think about community days, raid days, and limited research days? What are some of the improvements that you would like to see regarding any of them? Definitely share those thoughts down below in the comment section, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to every single patron on my Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Count Jinsula channel, the best way you could do so is by clicking on the links in the description below. One of them will take you to my Patreon page, and if you become a paid Patreon member, you get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. That's the perk that I have set up. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. Also, if you want to support my channel in a different way, you can do so by following me on social media. That is completely free, and I'm on the following platforms that you see on screen. And my handle is @CountJinsula. So yeah, anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.